Yeah, someone else can be also co-host. Oh, okay, I think I'll make a co-host someone else because something happens then.
Yes, Prabhuji, we'll do that. You are host now, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah, I just know. I think they made me host. Yeah, I'm making you as a co-host. Yeah. Okay. So text 1934, post-death experiences. Uh, what happens generally? Who is attached to and who is attached to ignorance? Who is in mode of ignorance, doing all mode of ignorance activities? How is taken care, taken care after he's leaving the body, quote unquote care. So, so then his experiences in hell, how he's undergoing all these miseries, text 24 to 28, and finally, don't just think that the hell is some utopian understanding, my dear mother. Here also you can experience the hellish conditions. So that's how Lord Kapila says to mother, not only there, but here also one can experience some kind of hellish conditions. So that also he describes, text 19 to 29 to 34. So by that this section ends. How this person who is in mode of ignorance, when his life is conducted in this way, throughout his life, and after this life, how he is treated by Yamdutas, and what is happened in hell. And after that, after experiencing all those pains and hellish conditions, how he takes birth again in the womb of a mother starts with the next chapter. So that's why the next chapter is titled as Instructions, Lord Kapila's instructions on the movements of the living entities. So how the baby starts taking birth, conception and taking birth and undergoing a lot of tribulations in the womb. And prayers, major portion is about in the womb only. All the movies in the womb only. The Kapila Muni is so graphically describes. So it's an amazing aspect. Prabhupada also gives a beautiful purports. How we all underwent, how our life underwent 9 months in the packed womb. So that is described here in text in the chapter 31. We will go through that one in the next chapter. Okay, the first section is about the pains and the sufferings of a person who is attached in ignorance, life and death of a person. So that we will see. So it starts with the time factor, how time is destroying. Time is so powerful in this world. So that is described. To bring the detachment, same point, to bring the detachment aspect, mother also asked about time factor. Little bit you read in text chapter 29 also, effect of time. So the time factor, when we hear the destructive effect of time, it will also develop some detachment. So the main purpose is to, the whole section purpose is to have some develops detachment from this world. So the time factor is explained in the initial few verses till text 4 or 5. So let us read. Kapila Uvacha Tasaitasya Jano Nonam Nayam Vedoru Vikramam Kalyamano Bibalino Vayo Rivaga Namali. Translation, someone can read.
Yes, the personality of Godhead said, as a mass of clouds does not know the powerful influence of the wind, a person engaged in material consciousness does not know the powerful strength of the time factor by which he is being carried.
So material consciousness, one who is in material consciousness does not understand the power of time factor, how it's carrying on. Of course, you read in, I think, second canto, Ayur Harati Vaipumsam, then Nastam Chayannaso, Tasyarte Atshunonita, Uttama Shlokavartaya. So powerful time, Ayur Harati, the sun, by its rising and setting, Ayur Harati, it Ayu ko hara deta hai. It consumes Ayu. Artha Vaipumsan, Vadhyanastam Jyanaso. Tasyarte yat kshanonita. But it is not applicable to one who engages in Uttama Shloka Vartaya, in reading Srimad Bhagavatam, attending classes, reading and glorifying the Lord. So one will not be affected by time, in the sense that that time a factor will not bring us a destruction. Means that it will not take us to lower and lower positions in our next life situation. It will not take us down. Adho gachanti, it will not take us. So power of time is compared here with analogy. So mass of clouds are compared to a personal mental consciousness. So mass of clouds, though mass of clouds may be very, very big, maybe there may be thousands of clouds together, but still it's so light that the small wind can push off. It can push off the clouds itself, whatever the quantity of clouds it may be, but still they are being carried away by wind. That is the material consciousness. But if we develop more and more spiritual consciousness, it's like a rock like mountain. Wind can't do anything. So we are developing spiritual consciousness more and more. So thereby we are not affected by time. So that is mentioned. Okay. Read the highlight portion. Read the purport, the great politician.
Yeah, the great politician Pandita named Chanakya said that even one moment of time cannot be returned even if one is prepared to pay millions of dollars.
Yeah,
It is
continue.
recommended, yeah, it is recommended in the scriptures
You can read from here.
that is from there. Okay. One cannot calculate the amount of loss there is in wasting valuable time, either materially or spiritually. One should be very alert in utilizing the time which he has at his disposal. A conditioned soul lives in a particular body for a fixed measurement of time, and it is recommended in the scriptures that within that small measurement of time, one has to finish Krishna consciousness and thus gain release from the influence of the time factor.
Yeah, so those who are in Krishna consciousness, for them Prabhupada is giving a message that they should not waste time, even a moment. Always so much loss. So we can understand, as Prabhupada mentioning, a small measurement, within the small measurement of time, Prabhupada mentioning here. So we need to perfect our life, maybe 40, 50, 60, 70, or whatever. It's recommended in the scriptures thus, that within that small measurement of time, so a conditioned soul lives in a particular body for a fixed measurement of time. So one analogy is I heard, it's a fat. Human life is considered like a fat. It's a facility with some ability and a time bound. That's the human life, acronym for human life. It's like it's a facility with some ability and time bound. Time bound, Prabhupada is mentioning. No, time bound is mentioned by Prabhupada. And how it is a time bound, we have little time here, small measurement of time, it's time bound. And we have some abilities at different levels, at different physical, mental, intellectual, or whatever, various skills, various talents, etc. So by using all this, the facility, it's a facility. Human life is a facility, and with some ability and time bound. So we need to use the ability and time, so in order to perfect our Krishna consciousness. So that's the message for who are in Krishna consciousness. But who are not in Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada mentioning, they will be carried away by strong power of time without their knowledge, even without they don't know also where they are going. They'll just be carried away. So that's the power of time. So basically we need to value time. The more we value time, follows me, Krishna says in Gita, Lokakshaya Krit, I will destroy everything in due course of time. If we are not in Krishna consciousness, or if we are not utilizing time for Krishna consciousness. Of course, definitely you also might have read, heard, and many times that when we are maintaining a family, doing job, definitely they are all under the purview of Krishna consciousness. The main purpose is to please Krishna, keeping Krishna in center, just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur spending 6-8 hours just dealing with court cases. Somebody looted money, somebody murdered, somebody did something, many, all these materialistic activities. All he used to deal 6 hours. He used to write cases and this and that. She's a Mahabhagavat, but still he has to deal with all those cases and all for 6 hours. But this is all under the purview of Krishna consciousness. Because his purpose is to please Krishna, maintain family and all. So that is all, that will not be destroying his spiritual life. Because whole time is meant for sustaining the family so that they can practice Krishna consciousness nicely. Text 2. Yam yam ardam upadatte dukkena sukha hetave tam tam dhunoti bhagavan puman chochati yakrite. Read.
Whatever is produced by the materialist with great pain and labor for so called happiness, the Supreme Personality as the time factor destroys, and for this reason the conditioned soul laments.
So when it, as a time factor, Bhagavan, the word Bhagavan is used here. So the Bhagavan word, though it's a Supreme Lord, Bhagavan, but it's a time factor. So for a Supreme Lord as a time factor, Bhagavan means Kala. So for this reason, conditioned soul laments because it's destroyed. So there's a famous saying in English also, God's mill grinds slowly but exceedingly fine. So everything comes into, everything will be destroyed in due course of time. So that's the main aspect, to destroy everything, time factor. Of course, opposite happens. Of course, time factor doesn't have influence in a negative way as in material world. Spiritual world has a different time factor. There is also time is there, but it's a different effect. Same principle Prabhupada explains. Can you read the red lines?
Yeah. From history, we can see that there were many powerful empires on the surface of the globe that were constructed with great pain and great perseverance. But in due course of time, they all have all been destroyed.
Great perseverance, with great endeavor, continuing without stopping, even though there was difficulties, they will continue. That's called perseverance. So, but everything will be destroyed in the course of time. So, does it mean that we should not at all endeavor? No, definitely we need to endeavor, but to see that our Krishna consciousness is going on. It should not be. It's a very sensitive what we are talking. Where to draw line? It's all very sensitive um, decisions that we all need to make ourselves in consultation with superiors. Where should I draw line? How much I am endeavoring, over endeavoring, under endeavoring? Am I maintaining properly, taking care of children or family, etc.? It's a very subjective. So we need to. But the main point is that so we need to perfect Krishna consciousness. We need to complete our Krishna consciousness. We need to move towards Krishna more and more. So that's the at least the overall direction we should have. Gradually we're moving towards that direction. So that's the main point Prabhupada's mentioning. So mentioning in summary that this waste of energy is due to the ignorance of the mass of people who do not know that they are eternal and that they have eternal engagement also. They are wasting time in all this constructing and developing civilizations, etc., which are going to be destroyed. But they are neglecting the main thing. Read the last highlight portion.
They do not know that this span of life in a particular type of body is but a flash in the eternal journey. Not knowing this fact, they take this small flesh of life to be everything, and they waste time in improving economic conditions.
It's a flash in eternal journey. So the span of life is a flash in eternal life. So the span of life is a flash in eternal life. So when we keep background as eternal life, and if we keep this life, if we pin down this span of life and the background of eternal life, this pin is very, very like a flash. So that's Prabhupada mentioning. So by seeing contrasting with each other at background, so we understand how insignificant this life is. Generally, we are all caught up in the present conditions and scenarios, situations, etc. We take everything as permanent. So that's the whole morning program is meant to draw our consciousness from this material life, or at least where we are absorbed in certain circumstantial situations, to spiritual eternal life. That's the main aspect of morning program. To draw our consciousness entirely. So what is our eternal life? So that's the training also. The morning program is a training where we are trying to exercise our eternal life. What happens in spiritual world, we are exercising here more and more. Yeah, chanting, dancing, and glorifying Lord, worshipping the Lord. So these are all eternal life, our eternal life. Bhakti is eternal life. So that, that's Prabhupada is bringing out contrast also, not only the time factor, effect of the time factor, but he's giving a positive understanding how we need to understand the importance of spiritual life also, eternal life. Text 3. Yad adhruvasya dehasya sanubandhasya durmatihi Dhruvani manyate mohat gruha kshetra vasuni cha. Translation.
The misguided materialist does not know that his very body is impermanent and that the attraction of home, land, and wealth, which are in relationship to the body, are also temporary. Out of ignorance only, he thinks that everything is permanent.
Because taking temporary things as a permanent, that's why he is lamenting. Because he laments, he said here in this verse, lamentation came. So when everything is destroyed by time, for this reason, conditions or laments. Kuman sochati is lamenting. That's the nature of conditioned soul. That's the mode of ignorance. Keep on lamenting. Dirgha Sutri, lamentation is spoken in a Gita. Dirgha Sutri means lamenting. Too much lamentation. So why he laments? Because he is taking temporary things as permanent. That's why. Because they will be destroyed by time. And that's the reason. Because he is taking these temporary things as permanent. And thereby, when they are destroyed, he laments. So the cause is spoken, because cause is that he is taking temporary things as permanent. That is the main point. We also, our conditioned stage is like that. I mean, we cannot blame, but it's a conditioned nature is like that. Taking material thing as spiritual and taking spiritual things as material. In both ways. So, Acche Vishnu Shiladishu, Gurushu Naramatishu, Vaishnava Jati Buddhi. So there are beautiful verses there. I don't remember all, but there are 10 things I have spoken. That which is spiritual, we generally consider it as a material. Acche Vishnu Shiladishu. Oh, the deity of Vishnu is only a stone. This is material consciousness. Seeing spiritual objects as material. Seeing the eternal things as temporary things. seeing permanent things as temporary. So that is a naraki buddhi. And at the same time, opposite also, taking temporary things as permanent, or taking material things as spiritual. Our body, we think, oh, I am eternal, I cannot, I don't die. My body is not going to die, or whatever. Generally, all the people in general who are attached to their house, or I want permanent job. Right now, we also, I mean, I also had great desire that, oh, I need to have permanent job. I did nothing. I am only not permanent. How I will have permanent job? Government job means permanent job, or whatever. Central government is permanent job. So, taking temporary things as permanent. So that's the aspect of material consciousness. So that's where we need to shift our consciousness, seeing things as they are, seeing temporary things as temporary, and permanent things, spiritual things as spiritual. That's the right consciousness. But unfortunately, the materialistic person who is in ignorance thinks opposite way. So he takes everything as permanent. My car, my house, my locker, my post position, everything is a permanent thing, they think. So I need to be extremely careful. Yeah, so the Prabhupada is bringing out the same point. What is this illusion? What is this Maya? Please read the highlight portion.
What is Maya? The materialist thinks that person engaged in Krishna consciousness are crazy
Fellows.
fellows wasting time by chanting Hare Krishna. But actually, he does not know that he himself is in the darkest region of craziness because of accepting his body as permanent. And in relation to his body, he accepts his home, his country, his society, and all other paraphernalia as permanent. These materialists this
Mystic.
materialistic acceptance of the permanency of homeland, etc., is called the illusion of Maya.
Maya itself is illusion. Illusion of Maya is another one aspect of Maya. This is also taking materialistic acceptance of permanency. It's another way of another is one of the aspect of Maya. Many aspects of Maya. I am the enjoyer. That is another illusion of Maya. I am the proprietor. I am the enjoyer. I am the controller of my home, my post, my position, my subordinates, my counselees, whatever it may be, my belongings. So that is a different illusions of Maya. This is one illusion of Maya, that taking things, materialistic acceptance of permanency of homeland, etc. So Prabhupada's beautiful lines that they think that we are crazy fellows wasting time by chanting Hare Krishna. They don't understand the darkness and craziness. Yeah. So this is all illusion in the mode of ignorance. Mohat Guru Kshetrani Vasuni. What is that Mohat? By illusion, they take Graha, Kshetra, all these things as a permanent thing. A Krishna conscious person knows that this economic development of human society is but a temporary illusion. Read this one, highlight portion.
In
Another part of Srimad Bhagavatam.
in another part of Srimad Bhagavatam, the acceptance of the body as oneself, the acceptance of other as kinsmen in relationship to this body, and the acceptance of the land of one's birth as worshipable, as worshipable are declared to be the products of an animal civilization. When, however, one is enlightened in Krishna consciousness, he can use these for the service of the Lord. That is a very suitable proposition.
Prabhupada giving a solution also. Yasyatma buddhi gunapeti dhatuke. That verse Prabhupada is translating here. Saiva gokaraha. So it's we need to use, he can use these for service of the Lord. However, one is enlightened in Krishna consciousness, he can use all those things. It's not that they themselves are Maya, home, land, are not in themselves are Maya, but when they're accepted for my own enjoyment or for my own kind of taking them as permanent or for my enjoyment, then they will degrade us. But the same things can be utilized for the service of the Lord. That's Prabhupada's very subtle proposition. So everything has a relationship with Krishna. When all economic development, material advancement are utilized to advance the cause of Krishna consciousness, a new phase of progressive life arises. Yeah, that's the Prabhupada's very encouraging and paradigm shift. With the same things we can change the entire destination. So now, till now, how his perverted intelligence is shown. So he elaborates on what suffering that it causes. So this perverted intelligence, Durmati, perverted intelligence is shown how he's taking things as a temporary things as permanent. Durmati means that perverted intelligence, that intelligence which is showing uh, temporary things as permanent, unpermanent things as temporary. That perverted intelligence, because of that, now he is suffering. So what is that suffering? Is continuous till 18th. Next 14 verses describe about that suffering. What does it bring about? Janturvai bhava etasmin yam jam yonim manumbrajet tasyam sa labhate nirvritim na virajyate. Translation.
The living,
Yeah.
though one laments, still he is not awakened.
Yeah, you can read translation. The
The living entity in whatever species of life he appears finds a particular type of satisfaction of that species, and he is never averse to being situated in such a condition.
The living entity, in whatever species of life he appears, finds a particular type of satisfaction in that species. So wherever he is finding cozy zone, he is comfortable. He is never averse to being situated in that condition. That's the nature of Maya. That's the illusion. This is the one of the spell of Maya that Prabhupada explains here beautifully. So though one is lamenting because of loss of things, because time destroyed everything, though he is lamenting on one side, but still is not awakened, but is still satisfied. Why? Because of this condition. Because he thinks that I can be happy. Right now, that's there. That's the question. Why? Though he is not happy, he is lamenting because time is destroying. He still is not awakened to reality, but still is mentioned that he is satisfied in that condition. Why? Because in the future I will be happy. That is that is another illusion. He thinks that okay, I am not happy now. I'll be happy in the future. Though something happened now, but I'll be happy in the future. With that satisfaction, he continues material life. That's the point. I think that's the same thing I wrote. One thing. This we will see in the later section. Yeah, that's the main point, that he thinks that he will be happy in the future. Yeah, read the purport, beautiful purport.
The satisfaction of living entity in a particular type of body, even if it is most abominable, is called illusion. A man
Yeah,
in a
okay.
higher position may feel dissatisfied. Highlighted portion.
Continue.
Maya. Okay. A man in the higher position may feel dissatisfaction with standard of life of lower grade man, but that lower grade man is satisfied in that position because of the spell of Maya, the external energy. Maya has two phases of activities. One is called Prakshekatmika, and the other is called Avarnatmika. Avarnatmika means covering, and Prakshepatmika means pulling down. In any condition of life, the materialistic person or animal will be satisfied because his knowledge is covered with covered by the influence of Maya.
Prakshepatmika and Avaranatmika. So Maya has these two phases. One covers the real identity, and he gives Prakshepatmika. He gives Maya gives another identity. One is covering potency, one is kicking potency. Prabhupada many times he also says that kicking potency, Prakshepatmika. So pulling down and covering. So that's how our real identity is covered, our Anatmika is covered, and then all the other identities are what to say, imposed on us. Our real identity, Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Budau Prabhaya Tava Pada Pankajastita Dhuli Sadrusham Vichintaya. So my identity is Kinkara. Ainanda Tanuja Kinkara. My dear Lord, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other, I have fallen into this ocean of material existence. So I gave up my identity, my real identity, and I have fallen into this ocean of identities. I am a male, I am a female, I am young, I am old, I am diseased, I am healthy, I am an engineer, I am a doctor, I am thin, I am fat. So I'm a dog, I'm a cat, whatever. All these identities, so many identities. So all these identities are pulling me down and down. So I need to overcome this phase of Maya. Two activities, two phases of Maya. Prabhupada is mentioning. Prabhupada's main point is that though the living entity is having all these different phases, but still is satisfied. He's not endeavoring to overcome, but is feeling satisfaction in that ignorance. That's why people say ignorance is bliss. Means he doesn't understand anything. So in lower grade of life, lower species of life, the development of consciousness is so poor that one cannot understand whether he is happy or distressed. That is called Avaranatmika. So he gives example always that a hog which is eating very abominable things, but finds quite happy. So how abominable that life is. Prabhupada himself is making an exclamatory mark. How abominable. But that's the situation. So that is explained more in the 5th verse. Narakastopi deham vai na pumam stektum ichchati narakyam nivrutau satyam deva maya vimohitaha. Read the translation.
The conditioned living entity is satisfied in his own particular spaces of life, while deluded by the covering of ignorance of the influence of the illusory energy. He feels little inclined to cast off his body, even when in hell, or for he takes delight to in hellish enjoyment.
Basically, we are reading this. We are reading the section where the suffering is more elaborated. How because of Durmati, perverted intelligence, what it does, it does that. Main thing it does is that, oh, you're happy and you're satisfied. You don't need to do anything else. You keep on continue whatever you're doing. So that's the phase of Maya. So that's the condition of the living entity. So he's thinking that I am happy in my situation. Narakastopi deham vai pumam stiktu na ichati. So na pumam stiktu ichati. So he is not willing to give up. Prabhupada gives an example also here from Puranas. Read.
It is said that once Indra, the king of heaven, was cursed by his spiritual master Brihaspati on account of his misbehavior, and he became a hog on this planet. After many days, when Brahma wanted to recall him to his lovely kingdom, Indra, in the form of hog, forgot everything to his royal position in the heavenly kingdom, and he refused to go back. This is the spell of Maya. Even when Indra forgets his heavenly standard of life and is satisfied with the standard of hog's life.
So that's the position of, that's the nature of a conditioned soul. that he is satisfied wherever one is in material conditions. Of course, here we need to clarity of understanding of satisfaction in material life and not satisfying with spiritual life. It's a very sensitive uh, line that we need to satisfy with whatever materially we have, but rather we increase more and more our service, our attachment to Krishna, our dedication, our time, etc. More and more has to be increased, and decreasing more and more material needs as far as possible. As far as possible. So that's the. But here, what satisfaction is talked about, they're not endeavoring at all in spiritual direction. They are just satisfied and kind of happy about their material condition, even though they are kicked left and right. But they feel, oh, we are happy. Prabhupada quite often gives example that if you ask a fellow who was lying on the bed in the hospital, tied his leg on the top, or is about to die, if you ask him, my dear sir, how are you? Oh, I am okay, I am happy, I am improving. Right. So that's the nature of conditioned life. We always think that I am happy here, I am satisfied. So that means that here, main point that he's not endeavoring at all in spiritual direction, but is just be contented with material satisfaction. So that's the main point. The example is given of Indra. By the influence of Maya, the conditioned soul becomes so affectionate towards his particular type of body that if he is offered, give up this body, and immediately you will have a king's body. He will not agree. So Prabhupada is quoting maybe some statement from somewhere. You will have a king's body. So maybe I think it's just paraphrasing the Indra as a king. So he will not agree. Read the last para.
This attachment strongly affects all conditioned living entities. Lord Krishna is personally conversing, give up everything in this material world, come to me, and I shall give you all protection. But we are not agreeable. We think we are quite all right. Why should we surrender unto Krishna and go back to his kingdom? This is called illusion or Maya. Everyone is satisfied with his standard of living, however abominable it may be.
So he is little inclined to cast it off, little inclined to get up to spiritual life, little inclined towards taking more and more service. Of course, we are endeavoring to take up whatever we can, but at least the desire need to be increased day by day. May not be physically we are able to do that, but at least internally the desire has to increase more and more to render, or at least to connect it to spiritual life more and more. So otherwise I think I am all right. Why should I surrender unto Krishna and go back to his kingdom? This is called illusion. That's our position. So in this verse, basically, how Prabhupada is mentioning that they are satisfied. Narkastobi deham vai, napumam stiktam. They are not at all inclined to give up. Why? Why they are not inclined to give up is spoken here. Because of deep-rooted attachment or attraction. Atma, yeah, what are the roots of that attachment are mentioned here.
Prabhuji,
Atmajaya
Hare
Sudagara.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण गुरु जी तुकाराम महाराज ने ऐसा कहा है ना कि ठेविले अनंता तैसेची रावे चित्ते असू द्यावे समाधान. So फिर how can we relate to this verse? Means satisfaction means in every situation we should be satisfied with our whatever our condition. Then ये जो वो जो है और यहाँ पे जो लिखा है तो कैसे हम लोग रिलेट कर सकते हैं?
That's what I explained. I explained about that one. What you mentioned about that Marathi is basically saying you be satisfied with whatever you have, no?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned. That materially to sustain our body and soul together, whatever is needed, that much we are satisfied with materially. So that means that we are not just be satisfied with our spiritual endeavors. We need to more and more endeavoring towards spiritual life, and we are satisfied with whatever materially we have. Here in this verse, he's saying that he's just satisfied with material things. He's not at all endeavoring at all in spiritual direction. He's not even thinking also about that. Understanding, no? Is this person who is attached to material things, even though Maya is kicking, the last 3-4 verses, so many sufferings are there, still he is feeling happy and is satisfied in that condition. He's not endeavoring only towards spiritual understanding, what to speak of endeavoring toward taking up something positively, practicing something positively. He's just satisfied like that. Hope it's clear.
Okay.
He's not endeavoring basically. Yeah. If someone wants to add something, Ramkrishna bro?
The satisfaction of the hog is tamasic.
Yeah, correct. That satisfaction is also at different levels.
Yeah,
Is
it's tamasic. That is it.
is a
And I
more
think
of
what Tukaram Maharaj is saying, that one should be content in the sense that one should not over endeavor. Tyahar, you should not do.
okay. I don't understand Marathi, but
Tevile Anante Trisi Charavi means one should not go for more money, gold, land,
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So he should be not do over Tyahar Prayasascha.
Atyahar, yeah. Yeah,
So that is
basically we need to keep the body and soul together, whatever needed, and we should be satisfied with that. But we need to endeavor more and more for spiritual services, spiritual endeavor, spiritual progress. That should be done.
so the purpose of that satisfaction is to give more time for spiritual.
Yeah.
That is the what to
That's the main point. Here also, Prabhupada also. Here, this person is not at all inclined to even inquire about spiritual life. It is also more of a tamasic satisfaction, pleasure. Happiness at different levels also Gita mentions. Happiness in mode of ignorance and passion and goodness. So this is more of a mode of ignorance. So why is very little inclined to cast it off? That is spoken in this verse. Atmajaya sutagara pashu dravina bandhushu nirudha moola hridaya atmanam bahumanyate. Read. Other devotees read.
Such satisfaction with one's standard of living is due to deep-rooted attraction for body, wife, home, children, animals, wealth, and friends. In such association, the conditioned soul thinks himself quite perfect.
So because of these roots, strong roots of attachment to these things, we can compare these things as the roots. But these roots are giving to that kind of satisfaction, material satisfaction as a tree. So the roots are very deep. Attachment is very deep. Nirvudha Moola Hridaya, deep rooted attraction. Then so he will not at all willing to even inquire about spiritual life. Read the purport.
This so-called perfection of human life is a concoction. Therefore, it is said that the materialist, however materially qualified he may be, is worthless because he is hovering on the mental plane, which will drag him again to the material existence of temporary life. One who acts on the mental plane cannot get promotion to the spiritual. Such a person is always sure to glide down again to material life. In the association of so-called society, friendship, and love, the conditioned soul appears completely satisfied.
So that's how he feels that I am very perfect here. I don't need anything. I have good wife, I have good husband, I have some good children. They are studying, they went to America, they settled there. I'm happy here with my land, with my home. I don't have anything to do with others, neighbors, nor I don't have anything to do. I'm happy, whatever I do here, I'm satisfied. So that's the so-called society, friendship and love. Friendship appears completely satisfied. So, but the Prabhupada mentioning person always sure to glide down again to material life. That's a damn sure. So that's the scriptures mentioned. So that's the position of a person, a materialistic conscious person, ignorance. He thinks like this. He doesn't give up. Sandahyamana sarvanga yesham uddvahanadhina karotya viratam mudho duritani durashayah.
Although he is always burning with anxiety, such a fool always performs all kinds of mischievous activities with a hope which is never to be fulfilled, in order to maintain his so-called family and society.
So though he is always Sandahyamana, he is completely Sandahyamana. Dahyamana is burning. Sandahyamana is 360 degrees. Completely burning in all directions. But still he thinks that he is satisfied with all these things. And also he has with a hope which is never to be fulfilled. So Duritani Durashaya, he does in order to maintain his family and society. He performs all kinds of mischievous activities. That's the mode of ignorance. Read. Underline portion. Underline portion.
He said that it is easier to maintain a great empire than to maintain a small family, especially in these days when the influence of Kali Yuga is so strong that everyone is harassed and full of anxiety because of accepting the false presentation of Maya's family.
So Prabhupada mentioning here that okay. So these annotations are coming. I'll just share once again the document. Okay, anyway. Okay. Are you seeing the annotations on the screen?
Yes.
How to remove them? Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, basically, it is easier to maintain. Prabhupada is mentioning that how family life becomes quite tough, especially to maintain, as Prabhupada is mentioning here. Though, but still, there is anxieties and everyone is harassed. But one is attached to that because of false presentation by Maya. That is the main point. It is said that as long as we are attached to this asat, temporary, non-existing society and family, we are always full of anxieties. Sandahimana. So that's point. That point is explained. Sandahimana sarvanga. So he is burning with anxieties, different anxieties. But still he is continuing with the same kind of material life. The materialists do not know that the family, society, and friendship here in this material world are only shadows, and thus they become attached. Naturally, their hearts are always burning, but in spite of all inconvenience, they still work to maintain such families, false families, because they have no information of real family association with Krishna. Proper explaining. So here we have in sense those who are materially attached in ignorance, they have family. So Prabhupada is bringing out a beautiful contrast. The family we maintain created by Maya. It is perverted reflection of the family in Krishna Loka. In Krishna Loka, there are also families, friends, society, father, mother, everything, but they are eternal. So we need to be attached to that family, Prabhupada is mentioning here. So here this family is a Sat, that family is Sat. So we need to be attached to that family, Krishna's family. That's the main point. But unfortunately, we are all attached to this material Asat family. So continuing his sufferings, explained more and more here till 18, text 18. Akshiptatmendriya strinam asatinam cha mayaya raho rachitaya lapai shishunam kalabhashinam. So more details are explained how he is attached to his family. Someone can read.
He gives heart and senses to a woman who falsely charms him with Maya. He enjoys solitary embraces and talking with her, and he is enchanted by the sweet words of the small children.
Read about what?
Family life in the kingdom of illusory energy, Maya, is just like a prison for the eternal living entity. In prison, a prisoner is shackled by iron chains and iron bars. Similarly, a conditioned soul is shackled by the charming beauty of a woman, by her solitary embraces and talks of so-called love, and by the sweet words of his small children. Thus he forgets his real identity.
Yeah, so of course, it applies for both. For a man, it's woman, woman, for a woman, it's a man. So how there's a material consciousness, one is trying to be happy in this world of illusion. It's a very, very precarious situation that I underwent in many lives previously. Many, many lives, millions of lifetimes I've been endeavoring, trying to be happy in these kind of situations. But this is illusion that I may continue because of ignorance. Read the highlight portion. Hello.
The love of a woman at home and the talk of the children make one a secure prisoner, and thus he cannot leave his home. Such a person is termed in Vedic language a Vihamedi, which means one whose center of attraction is home. Grihastha refers to one who lives with family, wife, and children, but whose real purpose of living is to develop Krishna consciousness. One is therefore advised to become a Grihastha and not a Vihamedi. The Grihastha's concern is to get out of the family life created by illusion and enter into real family life with Krishna, whereas the Vihamedi's business is to repeatedly change himself to so-called family life in one life after another and perpetually remain in the darkness of mind.
I generally more focus on Prabhupada purports because, of course, whenever there is commentaries, that definitely we see. Because we may not read, we may not have much time to read Prabhupada purports later on. And also Prabhupada very beautifully brings out many, many wonderful points, which are more self-explanatory. Of course, the same section is very much focused on how one is imprisoned by chains, iron chains, just like a prisoner. Prabhupada gives example of jail many times. So if one is chained by iron chains, somebody may be chained by silver chains, somebody may be chained by golden chains also. But still everybody is in prison. Of course, this he used for ignorance, passion, and goodness also. How everybody is prisoned by different degrees, different modes. So even goodness is a prison, goodness is also a prison. So that kind of idea Prabhupada talks about by chains. But chains are compared to sense gratification. So shackled by iron chains and iron bars. So the sense gratification tendencies itself is like a iron chains. We are caught up. So as long as we are caught up, we cannot fight the chains. We cannot ourselves remove the chains. Somebody who is unshackled, they can only remove our chains. We are completely caught up. So a Vaishnava has to be merciful on us. So when the mercy is there, of course our endeavor has to be there. We need to also be determined to give up all these sense gratification activities and like take to Krishna. By that endeavor, by the mercy of devotees, by the mercy of Vaishnavas, we can definitely get out of these shackles. So that's how we can get out of the whole cycle of this body, repeated body, out of one life after another, perpetually remain in darkness of Maya. So we come out and go back to real family, Krishna's family. Yeah, this is one of the famous verses in these chapters. Gruheshu kuta dharmeshu dukkha tantreshu atindritaha atandritaha kurvan dukkha pratikaram sukavan manyate gruhi. He defines what does it mean, dukkha pratikaram, what does it mean by happiness for a person who is in mode of ignorance. Read the translation.
The attached householder remains in his family life, which is full of diplomacy, politics, and constantly spreading misery. Restricted in his acts of self-gratification, he acts just to counteract his miseries, and if he can successfully counteract such misery, he thinks that he is happy.
So, Kuruvan Dukkha Pratikaram, once he contracts this dukkha, Sukhavan Manyate Gruhi, that itself is a sukha. That's the considered Gruhamedi. So, if he successfully contracts the miseries, that itself is considered like a great happiness. That's like Prabhupada also gives example somewhere, I think here or in next purport, I think we'll read, it will come. Read the green highlight.
In the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of God himself certifies the material world as an impermanent place that is full of misery. There is no question of happiness in this material world, either individually or in terms of family, society, or country. If something is going on in the name of happiness, that is also illusion.
Definitely, there is a pleasure with senses, whatever we do. There is a little happiness, but that happiness is only, as Prabhupada mentioning here, that itself is illusion, because it keeps us bound more and more. So, does it mean that we should not at all feel happiness? Just like we definitely use our senses, right? No, we have some kind of happiness. So how we will not get caught? Can you share something? Definitely, we are in doing bhakti. In bhakti also, there is a senses. We are engaging senses, using the senses, and we are gaining some pleasure. So how that pleasure is not binding us? What are your comments or sharings? One.
Giving pleasure to the Supreme Lord.
Okay, but I am experiencing pleasure. How it is not getting, how it is not binding me?
Because that is not a karma, that is akarma.
Good point. That yeah, whatever activity and the result of activity is also a pleasure. So the activity itself is not a material karma. Appears to be material, just like Arjuna and Duryodhan. So doing same things. Arjuna and Duryodhan were doing same things, shooting arrows. He has a Gandiva and he has also like a bow. Doing apparently external vision, both are doing same things. But there is a great difference in the result, in the effect. Arjuna is liberating himself, and Duryodhana is binding himself more and more. So similarly, a devotee also may be eating and sleeping and taking rest, going here and there, having a family, children, job, and everything. But it's entirely different, especially for a devotee who is in Krishna consciousness, who is endeavoring to please Krishna. So though appears to be the same activity, same happiness, but there is entirely different result itself. Paradigm shift result. So that's how, though he is experiencing happiness, that happiness is only in connection with Krishna. So there is no any kind of bondage results in for a devotee.
Hare Krishna, can we say it? Yukta Vairagya.
Yeah, Yukta Vairagya we engage. Yukta Vairagya is defined that Nirbandhe Krishna Sambandhe. When we use everything in Krishna's relation, in relation to Krishna, when we use, definitely it's called Yukta Vairagya. That we are not attached to the things itself, but we are attached to serving Krishna. That's more of a Yukta Vairagya engagement. Engagement is called Yukta Vairagya. The resulting happiness, whether it's happiness or distress, it doesn't matter for a devotee.
Okay.
Engagement is there, yeah. Here in this material world, happiness means successful counteraction of the effects of distress. That's it. Prahlad Maharaj also mentions, I think Prabhupada quotes later, this counteracting the distress itself, they consider great enjoyment or great happiness. I think next purport, I think Prabhupada gives example also, will come there. We should always remember that in spite of all diplomacy and all intelligence and struggle for existence, everything will end in a second by the supreme will. Therefore, all our attempts to become happy in this world are simply a delusion offered by Maya. So we should basically, Kurvan, he is giving a definition how he thinks and he is satisfied. So the previous verse mentioned about satisfaction. So why? Because he just thinks that just by contracting the misery itself is a satisfaction. So there is no positive axis itself. They come from negative axis to zero. That itself they consider very great achievement. So just like a deceased person, a disease is over, but is not at all healthy and very doing a very pleasurable activities, going here and there and office and all, is not able to do. But just the disease, removing the disease, they consider it as a great achievement. So that, but that is not at all a real enjoyment itself. Getting rid of the disease is not the final end, but rather we should have great health. So material life itself considered like a disease condition. So, but gaining real health means attaining to spiritual position is the real happiness. Text 10. Atairapaditair purvya himsayetastasyataan pushnati yesham poshena sheshabhugyati adah swayam.
He secures money by committing violence here and there, and although he employs it in the service of his family, he himself eats only a little portion of the food thus purchased, and he goes to hell for those for whom he earned the money in such an irregular way.
Right.
There is a Bengali proverb: the person for whom I have stolen accuses me of being a thief. The family members for whom an attached person acts in so many criminal ways are never satisfied. In illusion, an attached person serves such family members, and by serving them, he is destined to enter into a hellish condition of life.
Yeah, he is destined to enter into hellish life. Though he thinks that I am doing for my family. That's a famous story of Mrugari and Nardamuni. And Nardamuni asks, hey, my dear friend, go and ask your family members whether they will accept your sinful activities and their reactions. They said, oh, come on, you are supposed to maintain the family. How we will accept? So that's how he was awakened. So that's the general position that one, also those who are depend on these kind of personalities, they also get the share of the sinful activities, definitely. That's what Prabhupada also explains here. For example, of course, he explains the whole situation. In illusion, an attached person serves to such family members, and by serving them, he is destined to enter into hellish condition of life. So he gives example here. A thief steals something to maintain his family and is caught and imprisoned. This is the summoned substance of material existence and attachment to material society and friendship and law. So, yeah, read this highlight portion.
A man who eats 8 ounces of stuffs may have to maintain a big family and earn money by any means to support that family, but he himself is not offered more than what he can eat, and sometimes he eats the remnants that are left after his family members are fed. Even by earning money by unfair means, he cannot enjoy life for himself. That is called the covering illusion of Maya.
So, though he is trying to earn in sinful ways, but still because of his diseases, or maybe because of his mental condition or his position, he is unable to even enjoy what he's earning. That is a many big people situation also we can see. Though they are earning crores of rupees within months, but they can't even take a few chapatis, hot prasad, hot food also they cannot take. And so that's their position, unfortunate condition. So this Prabhupada explains more and more. So life is short, he explains. Okay, this you can read. He basically summarizes living entity's position, what he's supposed to do and what he's doing now. Read.
A living entity is constitutively part and parcel of the Supreme Being, but he forgets that he has to render service to the Supreme Being and diverts his attention to serving others. This is called a Maya. By serving others, he falsely thinks that he is master, the head of a family, thinks of himself as the master of the family, or the leader of nation thinks of himself as the master of the nation, whereas actually he is serving, and by serving Maya, he is gradually going to hell. Therefore, a sane man should come to the point of Krishna, Krishna consciousness, and engage in the service of the Supreme Lord, applying his whole life, all of his wealth, his entire intelligence, and his full power of speaking.
प्राणैरर्धे धिया वाचा श्रेय आचरणं सदा एतावान्. I just wrote, I think, shloka also. Etavat janma safalyam. Prabhupada quotes this verse. Etavat janma safalyam dehiname dehishu pranayarde diya vacha shreya acharanam sada. One should engage all this life, wealth, intelligence, and words in Krishna service. So that is the perfection of Krishna consciousness. That point one should come to. Don't try to serve Maya in the form of family, society, nation. That means without Krishna in center. So then he will go to hell. Though one may be doing many sinful activities, even one may be doing sinful activities for them, one will not be spared off. So that's the condition of living entity. Who is in ignorance doing all this, he will be doing all these activities and he will suffer for that. So that is explained. Vartayam lupyamanayam arabdhyam punah punah lobha vibhuto nisattva pararthe kurute spraham. Right. Some other devotee.
When he suffers reverses in his occupation, he tries again and again to improve himself. But when he is baffled in all attempts and is ruined, he accepts money from others because of excessive greed.
Yeah. So his condition is explained in more details. Though he is suffering, he tries again and again to improve himself. Just like that the story of mango tree and the jewel, you might have heard many times. His Grace Rasham Prabhu very graphically describes. That fellow is trying to, he's seeing the jewel on the tree and he's jumping. He's seeing the tree in the water and he's jumping in the water from this direction, from that direction, from up, from below, from his scoop diving, his somersaults he does. Whatever way he dives into water, he's unable to get the jewel on the tree which is there in the water. So that's the trying again and again. He tries again and again to improve himself or to gain happiness, but still he's baffled again and again in all attempts. So then he's trying to accept money from others, beg, borrow, steal, but still one should enjoy. That's the Charvaka's philosophy. Charvaka's philosophy of where you take loan but drink ghee. Yavat jivet sukam jivet. That's the Charvak philosophy. Yeah, that's how he's suffering. Though he's suffering, but still he thinks that I can be happy one day. But still he continues the sinful activities. That's the illusion. That's the tamoguna. Tamoguna itself characterizes that he doesn't know what he's doing. Doesn't have any reflection. Kutumbam bharana kalpo mandabhagyo vrutodyamaha shriya vihina krupano dhyayan cha chwasiti moodadhi. Continue.
Thus, the unfortunate man, unsuccessful in maintaining his family members, is bereft of all beauty. He always thinks of his failure, grieving very deeply.
Sometimes he's happy, sometimes he's miserable, continuously. Though all this happening, but still he is not giving up. He is not willing to give up this body or giving up this ignorance. That is not at all willing to accept any other suggestions. Come out of this ignorance. That's the condition of ignorance. Evam स्वभरणा कल्पं तत्कलत्रादयस्तथा नाद्रियन्ते यथा पूर्वं कीनाशा इव गोचरम्.
Seeing him unable to support them, his wife and others do not treat him with the same respect as before, even as miserly farmers do not accord the same treatment to their old and worn out oxen.
Read.
Not only in the present age, but from time immemorial, no one has liked an old man who is unable to earn in the family.
Continue to this too.
Even in the modern age, in some communities or states, the old men are given poison so that they will die as soon as possible. In some cannibalistic communities, the old grandfather is sportingly killed and a feast is held in which his body is eaten.
Such a perverted understanding. Generally, old man supposed to be treated very lovingly and taken care. Old men and children are almost same treatment has to be given. That's how the general treatment. Of course, it's quite difficult, and nowadays it's becoming more and more difficult because previously at least they have big families, joint families, and somebody is taking care always the old people. But nowadays it's quite a pathetic situation. Everybody is in old age homes. So that should not happen in Krishna consciousness also. That old people should not be treated like useless people. So that's an entirely different situation. Because the more old you are, the more wise one should be. The more wise one should become. And only one will have at least one should be having such a position that we are not a burden on the society. That is talking about our society in Krishna consciousness. But outside people also, the more old people they should be. Actually, Prabhupada mentions many purports. The more as we are progressing in age, the vanaprastha stage, he talks about brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. As one comes to the age, later ages, when his sons are becoming responsible, then he should hand out the responsibilities and he should go back to spiritual life and completely dedicate his life and energy, whatever remaining in spiritual life. But if one does not do that, then one becomes more and more like burden in the house. So that's the situation currently. So here comparison is given that how old worn out oxes are like old men. That's our community. As a spiritual family community, we need to take care of everywhere. Every community they should take care of old people also. But old people have that responsibility that they should definitely practice spiritual life more intensely, more eagerly. So that can be possible only when we practice at a young age. We cannot take it at an old age seriously, and we can see that our grandfathers and grandmothers quite difficult for them to convince or to give them seriousness and all. Of course, exceptions may be there definitely, That's quite difficult. So that's how we need to practice now itself. As long as we are hale and healthy, we should practice very sincere and seriously. And when we are old, definitely, whatever Krishna arranges, we will not become a burden on the society, on the family. Rather, we take care of ourselves. We practice our Krishna consciousness sincerely and we inspire others wherever we can, whomever we can, whatever energy we have. So Prabhupada writes that it is judicious, therefore, to give up family attachment before one attains old age and take shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the same lines Prabhupada talks about. One should employ himself in Lord's service so that the Supreme Lord can take charge of him and he will not be neglected by his so-called kinsman. That means one is going towards Vanaprastha and Sannyas. We'll just complete at least, these are not much big purports. We'll complete three more, at least till 18. Tatrapi ajata nirvedo priyamana swayam vrataihi jaryopatta vairupyo maranabhimuko grihe. Continue.
The foolish family man.
Yes.
The foolish family man does not become averse to family life, although he is maintained by those whom he once maintained. Deformed by the influence of old age, he prepares himself to meet ultimate death.
Yeah, highlight portion you can read.
In the Vedic way of life, one has to give up family life while he is still strong. It is advised there that before getting too weak and being baffled in material activities and before becoming diseased, one should give up family life and engage oneself completely in the service of the Lord for the remaining days of his life.
Yeah. Prabhupada talks about the family attraction is so strong that even if one is neglected by family members in his old age, he cannot give up the family affection and he remains at home just like a dog. So there, I think somewhere the example is given like a dog. Deformed by influence of old age, he prepare himself to death. Of course, I think maybe in the next verse it comes, I think. Prabhupada using here only. Just like a dog, he's treated very, very insignificantly by the members. But he should prepare more intensely. That's the main point. Aste avamatyopannaya avana aste avamatyopanyastam grahapala ivaharan amaya pradiptagnir ala alpaharo alpachestitaha. Continue.
Thus, he remains at home just like a pet dog and eats whatever is so negligently given to him. Afflicted with many illnesses, such as dyspepsia and loss of appetite, he eats only very small morsels of food and he becomes an invalid who cannot work anymore. Before meeting death, one is sure to become a diseased invalid, and when he is neglected by his family members, his life becomes less than a dog's because he is put into so many miserable conditions.
So, as more age increases, it becomes quite difficult to maintain oneself. But he remains like pet dog, and that's what Vidura also chastised Dhritarashtra. Are you are living like a dog? Remnants given by Bhima. He mentions Bhima's names because Dhritarashtra understands Bhima's enemy. Bhima has enemy. You are eating Bhima's remnants. It's like a dog. Come out from the home. So that's what he chastises Dhritarashtra. So that's the condition of a person in ignorance. He is more and more attached to the home. He is not living in even in the old age. So Prabhupada mentions that what is the solution? If a man leaves homes and dies without his family's knowing, that is considered to be a glorious death. So in Vidura section, we can understand many points about in regard to same theme. Text 16. Can you read it in translation?
In that diseased condition, one's eyes bulge due to the pressure of air from within, and his glands become congested with mucus. He has difficulty breathing, and upon exhaling and inhaling, he produces a sound like gura gura, a rattling within the throat.
So now the whole chapter started with a person who is at engage. But still, though he was young, he's trying to endeavor to maintain his family and children and all. But he's also suffering. Samdahyamana, he's suffering with anxieties. He's not, he's lamenting when the time is destroying everything. But still, he's continuing happily in this body. So the gradual change, dehinosmin yatha dehi kaumaram yavanam jara. So kaumaram yavanam jara, there is continuing till this point of time in that he is getting diseased, old age, disease, and almost the last stages is describing now. Of course, how a devotee sees all these conditions, Prabhupada many times quotes this verse. Krishna Tvadiya Padapankaj Panjarantam Adyaiva me Vishatumana Saraja Hamsa Prana Prayana Samaye Kafavata Pittair Antavarodana Vidho Smaranam Kutaste. Same thing mentioned for them, but they cannot remember Krishna. They don't even, what to speak of remembering Krishna, they don't even see in the direction. So King Kulshekar is praying that at old age, how will it be possible for me to remember you at time of death when my throat will be choked up with mucus, bile, and air? So when I am now hale and healthy, and let me. Of course, he's showing more of eagerness to remember Krishna, more seriousness to practice Krishna consciousness. So, but that is the ending stage. Of course, you might have seen your family members also. I have seen my family members, grandfather and all. It's a very tough situation leaving the body. But we need to practice from now on. Shayana parishochabhi parivita swa bandubhi vachyamanopi na bhrute kala pasha vasham gataha.
In this way, he comes under the clutches of death and lies down, surrounded by lamenting friends and relatives. And although he wants to speak with them, he no longer can because he is under the control of time.
So at the final stages, what is happening to the person? So that is explained here more. How he's suffering at the end, at the old age and almost leaving the body. So at that stage, what are the different situations, different circumstances undergoing? So he is lying down, surrounded by lamenting relatives and friends. So Prabhupada mentioning, they lament like, oh my father, oh my friend, oh my husband. They may cry out these pitiable cries. But he wants to respond, but he's unable to respond also. That is the miserable position. He wants to speak, he wants to talk, but he cannot. He is already in a very difficult position, and when he is addressed by his relatives in that way, his grief increases because he's unable to respond more and more. Read translation.
Thus, the man who engaged with uncontrolled senses and maintaining a family dies in great grief. Seeing his relatives crying, he dies most pathetically, in great pain and without consciousness.
So now, finally, he leaves the body. So we always talk about life is a preparation, death is a final exam. So Prabhupada writes that at time of death, one will be absorbed in thoughts which he cultivated during his lifetime. So there is a cultivation. We need to cultivate. Cultivation means consciously we are endeavoring. Though one may be not liking something, but one cultivates those things which are very good. Though one may not be showing great interest and great taste immediately. So one need to cultivate those kind of Krishna conscious thoughts. At the last stage, no one is satisfied with how he has improved the family condition. Everyone thinks that he could not provide sufficiently. That's the natural conditions of many materialistic who are attached basically. They live in that case, in that conditions they live. So Prabhupada giving many case studies also. He has seen many dying man asking for increase his lifespan and please take care of my family. And so that kind of conversations. These are all material diseases of conditioned soul. So this in this way, he is giving up this body. He completely forgets his real engagement to become Krishna conscious and is always serious about planning to maintain his family, although he changes families one after another. So that's the position explained how and this person who material attached in ignorance and how he suffers a lot during his youth, during his old age, and during his diseases, and finally also he leaves the body with a great pain, with a dissatisfaction that I could not do much to my family, I could not do much myself to anything, that kind of a great pain. So he leaves the body. So what kind of position, how he goes through different situations, we will see tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow we'll complete this chapter if possible. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Maybe if you have any question, tomorrow we'll take up. Sure. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.